Welcome everyone to another episode of Vanquish. My name is Samkelo Khatebe. This is the show where all the odds and obstacles are defeated because, again, this is what we are about. Nothing that stands in our way is allowed to conquer. We conquer it. So today I've got to Anrune Weyers. Now, back then when we used to run together, she was Liebenberg, but now she's gone on to take on another surname that's going to be difficult for the commentators to pronounce. Anyway, Anrune, thank you so much for joining us on Vanquish. How are you today?
Thank you so much. It's an honor. I'm doing really good. And I'm proud to have Weyers on me. Like we spoke before this, being a team, knowing that me and my husband are doing this together, having the Weyers on my chest is really a proud moment to know that we're dreaming this together and we're doing this goal that we're going for together. Not Tokyo 2020, but Tokyo 2021 now.
Yeah, even though they're refusing to change it to Tokyo 2021, but yeah.
Yes.
So Anrune, I've heard my name and my surname being destroyed by commentators before. What's the worst that they've called you? Because Anrune, at the time it was Liebenberg and then Weyers. What is the worst? The worst way that they've damaged your name and your surname?
I think the worst is do Anruna, and then the A is very long, so it sounds like my name is never ending. So I'm okay with the Anruna, but Anruna, it sounds like I'm a WWE wrestler coming out of the ring, ready to battle on the thing. So that's terrible. And a lot of English people would have pronounced my surname as Liebenberg. Like the G is also it sounds like the mountain is very high. But now with the W, it's also interesting. With Weyers is also interesting. But I need to go and listen to all the commentators and find out which one was yours. But I think that one counts.
Oh my goodness! You see, if you were a soccer player and then you scored, then Anrune has scored. Now that would be
that would be perfect.
So for someone sitting there at home, seeing you for the first time, they don't know who you are, what you're about. Can you just give us a brief breakdown of who you are, what you're about, and basically your highest achievements?
Okay, I'm Anrune Weyers now and was Liebenberg. I'm a South African Paralympic athlete, and I have a left congenital arm amputation, and it's called Pity. So Pity has 4 little fingers and a 5 one over there. And it looks a bit blue because I have winter's hands. So I'm wishing the winter it's got long past, but it's not. And I've loved running for forever, and it's something that I really enjoy. And it's an honor, and always have been an honor to wear green and gold and my kit and represent South Africa. And as a person, I've learned so much from 2010 till now, being part of disabled sports. And my other passion is fashion and teaching and kids. I love teaching, and I believe because I was bullied quite a lot and also struggled in primary school, I thought, you know what, then that's the ideal place to be, to go in that area and go and teach kids that everyone is special and unique, and to love one another for what we are. So that's definitely the starting point, and I'm excited to go do that, and also use athletics as a platform to be positive and show kids that it doesn't matter how you look. It's about what's inside, and to give someone time to show them what's in the inside of their heart and who they are.
Yeah, my cheeks are painful actually. You've got a name for your arm.
Yes. So what is your two?
I've never thought of naming them. I think
you gotta give them a name. I think you gotta give them a name.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Maybe it's easier for ladies to name them. I also don't know of any guys who have names for their arms or their amputated legs. But yeah, look, maybe I'll get my little nephews to name my arms. I think they might come up with better names than myself. I've failed in 22 years. So Anrune, you say that you were bullied, and this is primarily because of your disability, and that would have brought some challenges, obviously, to your childhood. So how was that, growing up from age 0 to your age? And I don't know if you still get bullied now, but how was that life growing up?
Yeah, it is difficult. I think, as we all know, growing up in a school, kids are quite harsh with what they say and how they say it. So I always remind myself it's about teaching kids to ask, still ask. It's just how you ask and how you go to that person and ask them more about the disability or about their birthmark or about the hair, about something about them that's strange, just how you do it. So I think that was a tough thing growing up. It was kids didn't know how to ask me. So my reaction was I would have give them a little hit on the shoulder because I was so cross at them being ugly and being rude to me that was my reaction, which was not good. I won't recommend that action towards when someone bullies you. So that was definitely not a positive thing. But yeah, I was every day, we were only 600 kids in my primary school. And every day I would come home with red eyes being like, it doesn't matter what you do. If you touch something with your hand, my hand's going to fall off. Or it's comments like that quite hurt quite a lot. Or don't touch a hand because you're going to get germs. Or it was things like that where you felt like you're not worthy. And the changing point was I had a grade 1 teacher and she is not teaching anymore though, but she finished 5 years ago, I think. And she taught the kids how to handle my disability. And she actually made me proud of who I am. So she helped me and guided me as a mentor through all this bullying and talk to the kids on how you ask someone if they're different. And that gave me quite a warmth in my heart to know that there is a way of dealing with something like this. Now I'm not bullied anymore, but if I'm bullied and a kid asks me about it, I'm not gonna tolerate it in a positive way. If you're in front of your parents and you start laughing at my hand, I'm going to tell you and your parents that that's not the right way to handle this. And a lot of people will differ, but I really strongly believe that we need more leaders than followers. And if I lead that person and the parent of that kid to act differently, I can help them. If they don't feel that I'm helping, it's fine. But it's at the end of the day, it's my hand. And I want to help people to see it in a positive way, not in a, oh, that's gross. In rather like, oh, wow, what can you do? What can't you do? More like that.
Yeah, look, I mean, all of this to me is funny because on a daily basis, when I'm out there, this is what I have to deal with as well.
Yes.
It's a bit better with adults, but you can't avoid kids because there will always be kids. And there's different reactions. I've had kids straight walk up to me, hold my arm, and ask me what happened.
Yes.
And then I give them a nice story, and then you have those kids, like you say, that look at you and they laugh and they start pointing at everyone. It's like, hey, look.
Hey, look, that person is weird.
So that happens. Even at my age, I still find that offensive, but I'm like, kids are so mean. So I'm actually quite glad as well that you are now taking up a space where you are able to then guide kids the way that your primary school teacher was able to guide your classmates or your schoolmates about your disability. So how is that working out for you with the teaching?
Good. I had a challenge when I actually thought of teaching, like, wow, how am I going to shift this to that, to guide them and to help them? And obviously I'm going to get a lot of questions, not just from the kids, but the parents, like, is she capable? Because that's a question with disabilities. A lot of people ask, like, how? Like, how can you, are you sure you can do it? Like, it's kind of like they're not sure you do. And I read a quote the other day where it's also cool. We try different ways. We adapt it. And that's the beauty of the word adapt. Doesn't matter, like everybody needs to adapt. If you can't skip, then you can't. Then you try a different way. Then you put the one, if your left hand is too slow or whatever, because a lot of people struggle with that. So I think that's the thing, people, when they hear disability, they're like, oh, they can't do it.
It's the end of it. Sorry. Yeah.
Yes, which is definitely not that. So I taught at a special needs school, kids with autism and they're on the spectrum and they have learning barriers. Everybody differs, so it depends on what they what the report says, that they went through all the tests they done. So the difficult part was, how do I, like, the parents come in and I'm like, oh, how am I going to, like, now we're both like a disability and you have a different ability. It's like But you know what? It was so beautiful to see how it worked and how kids can really embrace it. And there was a little boy that saw other girl with the one hand, and he's like, "I saw you running," and I was like, "But
Yeah.
how do you know it was me?" And it's like, "I saw your one hand," and I was like,
Yes.
he was so chuffed with himself. So I remind myself, it's something that we have that's different, but we can embrace it. So
Absolutely.
that's where the teaching area comes in, that I know that I'm going to teach so many people in a positive way. And yes, I'm going to have some days where I don't feel great about my left, because we're just human. And sometimes we do wish we had hands or we had a left hand, and it's okay. But the
That's
next
true.
day someone says, "How amazing is that? How did you do it?" And you're like, "I just did it." You don't know why but it's amazing. It is amazing. So just to remind yourself that we're given this for a reason. And I think that's
Mm.
something that I'll go into in the teaching to use.
Yeah.
That
No, truly, I also think it's a blessing. We don't need to put in any kind of effort to stand out. By default, we are so unique. So let's get into not disability sports, because I like what you say when you say we are all about adaptation. We adapt.
mm,
It's the only way we are able to get through life. So let's
yes.
talk about adaptability sports, not disability sports. You got into it. You said about 10 years ago. Why
Yes.
did you choose running specifically, and particularly the distances that you do, your 400 meters, which you are so amazing at?
So I actually didn't know disability sport, let's put it that way. So I ended up in 2010, I ended up going to one of the, why are you laughing, Sam? Why are you itching?
And
Your nose
you
itching?
know, you know what? When I talk to Paralympians, and you find out that maybe a year or two before they went to their first big competition, they had no idea that it existed. And I'm like, wow, and you've been disabled your whole life?
Exactly, but that's the crazy part. I ran able-body sport, or like in primary school and high school, and I thought you needed to be really, really, really good to end up being there. Like they select you, and they're like, "Okay, you go to the games." It's not like you qualify there. If you're really good, then you go. I
Yeah.
didn't know it had so many people involved in it until I watched Beijing in 2008, where I matriculated in 2010. I needed to like go back now. I'm old now. I'm getting old
Yeah.
now. One of my teammates would say, "She's naby aan 30. She's close to 30." Is a joke in our group now, and I'm not.
Oh,
A few years to go.
you're not 30. It's
Not
okay.
yet.
Let's just say you're not 30 for purposes of this interview. I know you're old.
Okay. Shame. No, no, no. So, yeah, and in 2008 in Beijing, I first saw then, wow, there were a lot of people with the same arm. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. So I think I didn't have the knowledge. And that's the cool thing about having these interviews and having a platform, is to give people knowledge about the sport, about the classes, I'm a T47 category. There's not an age category, there's a classification. I didn't know that. So I was like one of those people, what class are you? So excited about finding out about all that, which is really cool to find that out. But yeah, it's just the changeover. I was a cross country middle distance athlete, and I
Wow.
needed to do 400. I needed to move from 800 1.5 to 400 200 and 100.
Mm.
And I always make the joke. Last year was the first time in the 100 I really felt like I'm a sprinter. I could feel fast, and the time was also fast,
For the
which is
first
great.
time.
For the first time, I felt like a sprinter, and now on the track, I can actually feel that I'm getting that motion, that quick on the floor, which is a lot different to 800 1.5, where you're like
Mm.
cruising and your arms are not working. With this is a big changeover. So that was a challenge to adapt to that.
Mm.
I'm
Mm.
very lean structured.
Yes.
So for me, muscles was like, I don't want to look butch. I don't want to look too like CrossFit-y, too bulky. And that's the part where it helped me to adapt to work on the elements that I lacked at. That's hamstrings, and that's I don't have a lot of muscles, even though I'm lean. My muscles
Mm.
were like fine little muscles, but now I'm building on it. I'm excited when my hammies are showing in my jean and my glutes are
Oi,
also showing. Then I know, yes,
beast.
so I'm going to run that 100 and 200 and 400. I'm going to be a beast. So that mind swift actually helped a lot, and I needed to work a lot with the definition of power in Afrikaans krag. What is my definition of that? Because we all have a different definition. And as a female in sport, we always you don't want to go too far, because I'm very girly and I like pinky and I like my makeup and all girly things. So going too far, then you kind of feel, yes, I feel uncomfortable. So I just needed to figure out what is my definition of power and what is my definition of strength, and working towards that. And that's quite important. And I'm excited now to go gym and to work and to adapt on how I can improve my body to be a sprinter and not a middle distance athlete.
Yeah, so you've done that quite well over the years. Now you went to obviously the big games, the Paralympics in London, Rio, 2016. What did you achieve in London? What medals did you get?
I received 2 silver medals. I was 19. I was very young then. In the 200 and 400, I received 2 silver medals. Yeah.
You were 19 in London?
Silver. Yes. It was my
really?
first year, 2011. No, yeah.
2012.
I was 19, turning 20. Turning 20, yeah, sorry.
Oh, wow. Okay, and then Rio 2016, what did you get there?
I received a silver medal, and I think in the 200 I came 5th. Yeah, so silver in the 400 and 5th in the 200, yes.
Does the name Castillo mean anything to you?
Yes, she's an incredible athlete. I'm actually, last year in Dubai, I actually wished that I could have run with her again. She is next level. That girl has power in that legs of hers that no one knows where it comes from, but she's an incredible athlete. So I must say, as being an athlete, you want to compete against the best in the world.
Yes,
so I actually quite missed her last year. Their challenge, it would have been a really good challenge to have her if she was in the form that she was in 2012 and 2016. Definitely, I think she didn't race in 2016, but I truly missed her. I know that she mentioned something, her coach tried to explain to me she's maybe coming back, and I was like, well, that's going to be great.
That's good for you.
Yes, it will be good for me, yes, because I want someone challenging my world record and challenging me to run better times, because that's what sport is about. It's not just you are the best. People need to challenge you to be the best you can.
Yeah, so 2020, if we did not postpone anything, what were you expecting to achieve at this year's Paralympics?
Yes, I definitely wanted to go out there and chase my world record. I wanted to go for that 54. I really believe strongly that I would have definitely go for that. I was capable. I was on high. I'm still in a good shape, but like we were on such a high before COVID-19 came that we were on pace towards that goal. And looking at last year, the times I raced was every time it was very close to my world record that I did race. So I'm excited about that. And that's a platform that I still want to go out to go get that world record and the gold. That will be the ultimate. And also challenge myself in the I would love to do 400, 200, and 100. I want to end up on a high and I want to see what my body can do. No matter what the outcome is in the other two, I really strongly believe I'm up for the challenge. And Dubai last year showed me that I'm up for the challenge. I needed to go for it. I must not hold back on anything. And that proved it. The way I raced my races definitely proved that I was up for it.
Yeah, you've been honestly an incredible athlete, because I remember when you first started, and to see how much you've improved, like when they say good wine gets better with time, you've been like a good wine. Honestly, like with time, you've just improved consistently. And it's been amazing to watch. And I mean, I had the pleasure of obviously watching everything that you've done over the years. So maybe the last question really I want to ask is the difficulties that you faced during this lockdown, taking into account that Paralympics were postponed. You couldn't just go to the track or just go and jog and do any type of training. How did you handle that stress that came with the lockdown and the postponement of the Paralympics?
I'm sure, yeah. I think every time people ask a question, I end up being tearful. Thank you, Sam, for the compliment. It's an honor to be part of disability sports, to follow someone and to know that you're done with the sport now, but you're still investing in us as athletes and helping us. So thank you for that. And yeah, I think the best thing as in being an athlete is following someone's journey from when they started till when they have that moment. And that was mine last year, and I truly believe this year as well would have been. But having that incredible moment on the track and knowing what they've put into and the road that they took to get there. The lockdown and being at home and not training was definitely difficult for me. I was challenged with the question, it would have been my last games. And I thought I didn't voice it too much to media and for too many people in South Africa and the world. But in my heart and my brain, I was set on this would have been my last games. And after that, I would have still run, but more on the road and more cross country, or more like coaching kids at the school and being more of an activity coach, not a structure coach. And that was a challenge. But many coffees and a lot of praying, a lot of time with my husband in the lockdown, and 3 times a day I would train, morning, afternoon, and evening. That helped quite a lot just to keep my mind there, because I am someone that needs to be active, otherwise I get frustrated. So that helped. And I was grateful for Zoom and WhatsApp to have a call like this and have a coffee, even though I want to climb through and hug someone. That really helped me quite a lot. I got to know so many people, my friends. I got to spend 2 hours with them and just talking with coffee and spending time with them, which helped. But it was difficult. And I think the difficult part for me that helped was, like we mentioned in the beginning, it's not just, I'm not just affected, not you, the whole world. And if you know that, it's easier. Then you know what, I'm not the only one home. The rest of the South Africa is home. I've got food. I'm really privileged with my space. And I appreciated our house even more. The area we live in, this, even though it's not that big, but it's perfect for us. And we use all the spaces. And it just made me thankful for being healthy and having that. My dad mentioned today as well, no one of our family had COVID. And it's something that we need to be grateful for. So I think it just realigned my thankfulness to really be thankful for those little things that we don't always say thank you for. And knowing if you can hug someone, that's a gift to hug someone. Or to give them a kiss on their cheek, or or a handshake, or whatever you do, it's that connection with someone that I truly missed. And I'm excited about, hopefully after this you can hug more, but keeping social distance is tough for me as a person. It's been quite tough, but I know everybody has their difficulties. I had a treadmill, so that helped, and I could train, and that helped quite a lot. So and people getting excited about the games next year helped me as well, knowing that it's going to be magnificent next year. Thinking of we're going through these challenges, we all are going to celebrate together, and I don't want to miss out on that. Definitely not.
Wow. Look, I want to thank you for your time, and really wish you well with your training and the goals that you've set for yourself for next year. This is not going to be the last chat that we're going to have. I would like to have more building up to the Paralympic Games next year, and hopefully even when you are at the Paralympic Games, we can still have a chat about how you are feeling. But thank you so much for your time. All the best, guys. It's important, I think, for people watching at home to remember that you are a world record holder over the 400 meters. You are a champion, a beastly champion. This is amazing. Thank you so much, Anrune.
Thank you, Sam, and enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you for giving us a platform to share our stories, and hopefully people can follow my journey to Tokyo 20 in 2021.
Thank you so much. Guys, you have been tuning on to Vanquish, and my name is Samkelo Khatebe. We say thanks to Anrune Weyers.